For latest updates and short audio clips, follow us on Instagram, Reading the Author.
Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast Reading the Author, a unique show where we read authors' minds and not their books. Today we have with us Mr. Anish Kanjilal sir, who has authored 11 Oracles, a collection of poems. He is an educator by profession. Hello sir, thank you very much for accepting our invite.
Hello, Ashita and team podcast, Reading the Author, for giving me this honor and opportunity. And hello to all those who are glued up to this podcast session. Thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Okay, so you will have to say, this again because आवाज आपकी disturb हुई है इसमें.
Okay. Hello, Ashita, and hello, team Reading the Author. Thank you for giving me this honor and opportunity to be a part of this podcast. And I even heartily thank all those who are glued to this podcast session. Thank you very much for this grand opportunity.
Pleasure is all ours, sir. Thank you very much. So, how will you best introduce yourself to the listeners?
Honestly speaking, I had been an educator and I'm still an educator. I had been teaching students for the last 22 years. It had been almost a long time, and approximately more than 15,000 students have passed out from my institution. Besides being an educator by passion, I had always been into writing, and even when it comes to writing, it had been quite a long time, means almost a span of 30 years. So you can say that I'm a blend of poet and a blend of educator together, something like that. That would be, a great way to explain myself. So, switching to both the roles sometimes and doing whatever is needed, whatever the occasion asks me to do.
Oh, that is something, a very balance-oriented profession. Yes?
Yes, definitely. It's a tough profession because there is a lot of expectations also.
Yes,
but I try to give my best.
Yeah, more than the expectations of the students, the expectations of the parents.
Parents, of course, but for the last 6 years, if I refer to the last 6 years, it had been the institution had been good to earn the reputation of producing around about 7 to 8 rank holders. I'm referring to the AIR, and we have done good in that way.
Oh, that's amazing, and we wish you the very best for the future as well.
Thank you.
Okay, so please share a little about your journey.
Well, it had been a journey on a tossy sea, almost a ride on a roller coaster, till I felt that I was cast away on a shore, scribbling over there on the sands of time, almost feeling like Robinson Crusoe. Learning, of course, and the journey is yet to be complete. More milestones to reach, and hope it goes on like this. But I would definitely give credit to that kind of a journey, because this journey had also brought me some rare experiences which had molded me and had groomed me into creativity and introduced me to a larger universe where I have a role to play as a poet, as a writer, as someone who can be a God's messenger to convey thoughts and ideas and philosophies. I've been doing that for a long time, and I definitely owe to God for giving me this beautiful life and this kind of talent to express myself.
Wow, wonderful again. And the last I heard the name Robinson Crusoe was in my school back when I was in standard 9. And believe me, the moment you said na Robinson Crusoe, मतलब दिमाग में सारा आ गया. उसका when he started sailing और उसका island पे फंसना, उसके सारे fences and everything, सब कुछ दिमाग में आ गया all of a sudden. This was a flashback, honestly.
Right.
Okay.
Actually, my philosophy had always been like this, that whenever I'm in a crowd, I am in quest of my loneliness. And whenever I'm left to my kind of isolation, segregated from the larger world, the mainstream society, I really, crave for the crowd. So it had been like that, sometimes playing the Robinson Crusoe, sometimes a kind of pedestrian on a busy street in a city. It had been like that.
Okay. That is something worth a living.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, what influenced you to write on the topics that you have taken for 11 Oracles?
See, when it comes to 11 oracles, there are basically 11 poems. 11 poems having 11 different flavors.
Okay.
And that is based on a bunch of experience. And you can call it to be something like a nightmare inspiring me. There's a poem called Slaughterhouse, where a nightmare plays a crucial role. I converted that into poetry.
Okay.
Even research-based works like Medusa. I had tried to create a period drama, bringing Medusa to the modern sphere. And we have this poem called Eclipse of Medusa. And there had been plenty more. In fact, I've even been working on insects and animals, that they play a very important role in my poetry. They depict different human characters. For example, in my previous book, I had a poem called Caterpillar's Marriage. It sounds a little different and odd, but they happen to depict human life, human sorrow, human joy, human experience. Even this time, I chose a topic called the fire dye and the glow warm, and the glow cold. And it had been magical. It's almost like spinning something like this and giving it a twist, create a kind of magic. So 11 oracles have been about these things. 11 oracles have been even talking about urbanization, talking about the depletion of nature, the defiling of environment. It is more related also with animal slaughtering, the crimes, the different kinds of cruelties. So it has a variety of subjects, even motherhood, where I had brought Gautam Buddha into play, and I've tried to present him in a different way, in a different angle. So it had been, a mix of many things, a blend of many things, and every poem has a different thing to convey, a different thing to say. And I even experimented with fairy tales, and I had used them as preludes or epilogues in my poetry. And that is what you can call to be some sort of experimentation. Means you can talk about Cinderella, Pied Piper, all these, Aladdin. I brought these characters into play. So it had been a wonderful journey. It had been a wonderful experience. And depicting that experience in terms of word had been very tough. And I think 11 oracles or even my other poetries are not made for everyone. It is a kind of, or a category of people who can really comprehend and interpret it. Those who have better way to introspect and retrospect life. I think you need to contemplate it in a different way. It's not for everyone. That's what I can say. I'm pretty much selective in that. But I don't want to compromise on the point of creativity or poetry by writing it Okay,
So, that is a
so
very
that's my
bold.
vision regarding 11 on itself.
Wow. See, when you say that your poetry is not for everyone, in a way that, a certain class of people, they are going to understand what is written. And believe me, that's a very bold statement to make.
Hmm.
It is, yes. And see, you have written like on a very diverse theme, I must say. And poetry in itself is a tough thing. You have to bring down everything that you have inside of you in just a few words. It's a tough thing in itself.
Exactly.
Yes. And then
So
choosing.
you happen to have the poetic license. Still,
Exactly.
there are certain limitations.
There are limitations.
Right.
Yes, exactly. Firstly, you just have to bring down everything in few words, and then there are limitations as well, that you don't have to overpour. Even that is there.
Right.
That is to be taken care of.
The
So
balance is important.
balance is important. Yes, amazing. Okay. So, like, since you are an educator as well, so there needs to be a lot of thinking all the time. Yes,
Right.
there must be your mind is always processing onto something. So how do you see yourself being a poet as well as an educator?
Thank you. To answer that question, I would like to refer to a poem, one of my favorite poems, called
Okay.
Road Not Taken by Robert Frost.
Okay.
Robert Frost has been one of my idols and an iconic one. He writes in this poem, Road Not Taken, that there are two roads which happen to bifurcate and go to two different directions. If you refer to Robert Frost's life also, he had been an educator as well as a poet. He had tried to blend things up. So, in my case, I have been pretty fortunate and the blessed one. For my subject is literature and English language. So there is a great bit of variety, and there is more to experience than anything what you can experience when it comes to stereotype mathematics related to class 9, 10, 11, 12 and so on, or anything like accountancy or something. So I have this kind of opportunity where I am teaching literature, and at the same time I'm trying to comprehend it, analyze it, interpret it in my style, and at the same time contributing to the mainstream literature through writing. So I don't want to split myself to play a duality here. I think when I'm teaching also, I happen to be a poet to express my thoughts and lecture people. At the same time, when I'm writing poetry, it's almost like teaching myself what I have learned from life and what the universe teaches me. So it has been like that. Means, though I do play both the roles, but I don't think one has to do anything with the other in the sense to become a hindrance, to become some sort of an obstacle. I think both have a point of convergence, and that convergence helped me to excel in both the departments.
The way you are explaining yourself, the way you are explaining what you have written is wonderful. There's just one word, and that's wonderful. Amazing. Yes. It's not always that you get to talk to poets very firstly, and it's not always that you get to talk with a poet who is deep into what he or she writes.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Okay. So, what is your next 5 years plan? That's a very general question, but this is something that entices the conversation.
When it comes to the next 5 years, my next project on which I'm working is Herculean 12. So it's a collection of 12 poems. Again, unique in every way, and I'm even planning for a novel have a plot in my mind. I just
Okay.
need to deliver it. I just
Huh.
need to open the casements or the windows and let it go, let it
Hmm.
flow,
Hmm.
and turn into words, right? So I have this plan. I have these two projects coming up, both a novel as well as poetry.
Hmm.
And let's see if I can complete. When I started writing poetry, I had a thought
Oh,
I
so
will be
so so
writing 5 volumes. Hello.
so yo, I had nothing from you. अभी ये जो आपने last statement बोला, ये बिल्कुल भी कुछ आवाज
Okay.
नहीं. Okay, so are you
So
using
should I?
yeah, are you using earphones?
Yeah, I'm using earphones. Am I
Okay.
audible now?
You are, sir. Do one thing. आपका माइक जो है ना ईयरफोन का, आप उसको थोड़ा सा अपना मतलब फेस अपने keep it a little closer to your
Okay.
mouth. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now
हाँ,
it's okay.
बिल्कुल. अब बिल्कुल सही. आप इसको इसी
Okay.
पोजीशन पर रखिएगा, ठीक है?
Tick, tick,
हाँ
tick.
हाँ.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So let me answer that question again. Should I do that?
हाँ हाँ, आप उसको दोबारा से एक बार सारा दोबारा ही बोलिए, बेटर रहेगा.
Okay. When it comes to the next 5 years, I have two projects. Firstly, I'm in the process of, drafting, composing another volume of poetry titled Herculean 12, which will comprise of 12 poems, having its own uniqueness. At the same time, I have a plot in my mind, which I plan to convert into a novel. I will be writing a novel for the first time. Many of my well-wishers, those who had read my work, had counseled me or had rather insisted that you should write a novel. So all I need to do is to just open the casement, open the window, and let these things flow and turn into something what people would read and enjoy. So that's the initial plan. When I started writing, I thought about composing 5 volumes of poetry, which should refer to 5 elements. I mean, fire, wind, water, earth, and ether. So I'm done with fire and water. The next is earth. So there is some sort of a relevancy between the content, the subject, and what I have planned. So with fingers crossed, all what I can pray and just believe that I will be able to do accordingly in the forthcoming years, as I have planned, as I had been foresighting things. So let's see whether things work or not.
Again, best wishes. Obviously, they're going to work.
Thank you.
You are so. When you're passionate about writing, specifically I say writing, it comes up. It brings out.
Yes.
It brings out whatever it is, whatever it's there inside. So obviously, all your plans, they are going to work out, and waiting for the next 12 poems and the novel.
Thank you. Let's hope for the best.
Yes. Okay. So, do you have any writing schedule?
No. I think to express myself, writing is some sort of a fever. So unless you happen to have that kind of fever, I don't think you should, write anything. It should drive you. It should leave you insane. It should leave you absolutely burmy and mad that you start writing. There should be some sort of an urge from inside, compelling you to express whatever you have in your mind. And that's how I happen to write. It means I don't have any kind of routine to follow, and I can't write every moment. I wait for the moment. I think there is always a special moment for everything special in this world. So I do that way. I cannot write, and I don't write random poetry, what many people can do. Maybe I have some sort of deficiency, but
no.
but I prefer to do this in this way.
Yeah, every writer, they have their own way. Writers around the globe, they have their own ways of writing. Be it a regular one, be it they have maintained a schedule. Okay, fine, I'm going to write for an hour or two in a day, or people are writing like आज कुछ लिख लिया और 2 महीने बाद कुछ लिखा, ऐसे भी हैं. So it's just like जैसे भी it hits, जैसा आपने बोला, you wait for the right moment, जब वो आता है, when it kicks in and you have everything inside you कि हाँ सब कुछ आ गया and I'm ready to jot it down on paper. Okay.
Exactly.
हाँ. So what according to you success is?
Once more, I will like to quote something here. A poem written by Rudyard Kipling, If. It's a kind of a poem which presents paradoxical ideas, where the poet says, whether it's triumph or whether it is a kind of defeat, whether it is success or whether it is failure, be a stoican and treat them with indifference.
Yes.
So I don't happen to, differentiate between the two. Because, if you give privilege to one, the other would either subside you or dominate you or suppress you or influence you. So it's like, success comes the way when it needs to come, it will come. And if there is failurity, well, you need to carry on doing the work. I mean, whether it's success or failure, you should continue walking, the road, because if you refer to that epic line where Bob Dylan says, how much of distance a man needs to walk, how much distance a man needs to walk to become a traveler. So I exactly don't know how much distance I need to walk and what could come, but whether it's success or failurity, I try to treat them the same way with a kind of indifference. I just believe in walk and I walk. Even when it comes to my poetry, designing, drafting, composing, it takes time. Means it had been, Ashita, that it took me around about 5 months to compose one. And it had been even 1.5 years to compose one. There's a lot of research involved, a lot of things involved. I create a blueprint. I write portions. That's another thing I would like to say. I write portions. I don't write the whole poem. I may find out something inspirational to draft the body. So I draft the body. Or sometimes I may start with the conclusion. Means it's like a story. It's like a story. And you can start in 3 ways, either from the middle or from the end or from the start. Whatever is feasible and whatever works, I'll follow it. So I'm not into random drafting, but that's how I do it. And I treat success and failure with a kind of indifference.
Now, please accept my admiration.
Thank you very much.
When I was in school, poem की book अलग होती थी. तो क्या था कि जितनी भी poems, बहुत पतली book हुआ करती थी, ज़्यादा poems नहीं होती थी, because they used to be very deep poems. तो एक semester में मुश्किल से 3 या 4 poems ही हम पढ़ते थे. And before the poem, poem से पहले आता था about the poet. So when the teacher used to go through that section about the poet section, तो she used to explain that with a very fond attitude कि poet ये था and इस तरह लिखता था. And अभी आपने जैसे बोला ना कि sometimes it happens कि you write the conclusion first. तो ये भी 2-1 poets के बारे में ऐसा भी हमने बताया गया है हमको. पुराने poets हुआ करते. तो पता है, you are actually taking me into that in that era, in that time, वो पुराने poets वाला time. Oh my God, I'm having goosebumps in my head. Believe me, वो अचानक से ना ऐसे लग रहा है कि वाकई में वो सारे, जैसे आपने अभी जितने poets के नाम
you are remembering Keats, Tennyson. You are remembering Keats, Shelley, Tennyson. Isn't it?
वही जितने poets की poems मैंने पढ़ी है and they are there right in my head. तो वो ना सब सामने poet सामने आ गया. ऐसा लग रहा है कि हाँ, I'm having a conversation with maybe a poet of that time. बहुत beautiful है
It's a
अपने आप
privilege.
में. This is really beautiful to experience. The way you talk, the way you
Right.
are explaining things, na, it is very, very, I must say, impressive.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
You must not forget that I'm also a teacher. So my job is to,
Exactly
convince
that, you
people
know.
with my
बिल्कुल, बिल्कुल.
to see how the poet and teacher comes together right now. Right.
So yes. You are doing the fantastic, taking the job fantastically. Perfect. बहुत बढ़िया.
Thank
Okay.
Thank
Yeah. So, see, many books are being published these days. Many writers. We have n number of writers every day. So, do you think there is competition and whether it's getting tough?
Firstly and foremost, whatever competition you happen to refer to, this is actually a kind of propaganda. It's a kind of byproduct of a very, kind of people who are into minting money out of this industry. Today, if you refer to writing, self-publishing, just like it had done good to many people whose works had been refused and all, they can publish their work. At the same time, self-publishing has also brought infinite number of incompetent people into the world of writing. I have read that stuff, and these people don't even work. Okay, their work is so poor. If you read, you will understand what I am saying. And they are into subjects which are absolutely cliche. If you read 10 random poetry written by anyone, you will find these subjects. Either it is about woman empowerment, or the gender discrimination, or it is about your own sorrow. Someone had broken your heart, so you write down, or it is about your solitude, your loneliness. But these are the topics, and that means majority of the people happen to write on these subjects. So there is no experimentation done on subjects. I would say there is not much of research involved. It's like whatever comes to your mind, you just write down randomly. So what is happening because of this artificially created competition is this, that only the self-publishing houses are profiting. Okay, some of the PR agencies are profiting, but I don't think it is contributing at large to the mainstream literature. I don't think so. In fact, even when it comes to reading in India, it has gone drastically down, because I happen to teach a lot of students, teenagers. I don't find they're much interested in reading anything. They're more into visualizing. They're more into listening. I think the future is about visualizing and listening and not reading, at least when it comes to the teenagers in India. However, there are exceptions, but we are to be blamed. I mean, the self-publishing is to be blamed. They're making money and they're printing and publishing anything trash. And even those writers who think they have become writers and that would bring them some sort of publicity and fame, I would define that publicity to be more like a bubble which would explode at any point of time. Okay, and you would be left out heartbroken. So unless you have the flair, unless you have the content, unless you have that sort of passion, I would advise people to not to come into this industry or this kind of creativity, I would call it, and just mar it, because it is not doing any good to mainstream literature or anything. Okay, I have read many books. You see, when Amish started writing Immortals of Meluha, I am giving one example. Just after that, you will find plenty of writers working on mythologies and converting myths into mythical fictions. Means this is almost like copying some idea and following it, mimicking it. This is not going to help. Amish has that natural flair, and he had been really good. I've read Immortals of Meluha myself. It had been splendid. The way he had expressed the ideas, the kind of description he had added, it's phenomenal. It's spectacular. I don't have words to express it. So if you are copying someone's styles or ideas and trying to become a writer, I don't think it would work. If I start copying Tennyson or Frost, that won't work. Means I would not be able to do justice to my naturality or my kind of originality. So competition, it looks to be competition at the lower frame, but if you're going up, up, if you're climbing up, actually this competition is not there. Means where you are talking about, when and where you are talking about artists, writers, actually they happen to, be in the same world and almost as acquaintance, as companions, as peers, inspiring each other. Right? Means when Shelley wrote, when Keats wrote, there was no competition. You cannot call it competition because every writer has his or her own flair. Okay, and if you are talking about the classics, I don't think there should be any comparison drawn. Means we cannot draw comparisons between people, right? Especially when it comes to the best, when it comes to the genius. So this competition is created, and this is only going to help these self-publishing houses, and they're going to make a lot of money. Unless you get into the big fives, I mean, Macmillan or Oxford or Cambridge or HarperCollins, you are nowhere in the frame, you are nowhere in the picture. And see, even these self-publishing houses, they don't happen to do any good to any writer. They would first, advertise your materials, and that's all. You have some links and you can use them to create your propaganda. But at the end of the day, they are not contributing. Because when you refer to the big houses, they will take your book to the bigger platforms. I mean, to the bigger competitions. That is not happening in case of self-publishing. There is no initiative taken by them, nothing. Even if you refer to this T.S. Eliot poetry competition, it's one of the world's finest poetry competition, but that can only be participated by the publishing houses. The poets cannot get into it, personally. But the self-publishing houses or these houses are not taking any such initiative to do it. I don't know what it is doing. But honestly speaking, I don't think the writers have a greater future if this continues. This is my personal opinion.
Now, you sum up saying this is your personal opinion. Believe me, you are my male version talking.
Thank you.
This exactly is what I have in my brains when it comes to writing, Okay, sir, let me tell you first. ये ना जैसे Zoom का एक link, it allows only 40 minutes of recording. Okay, so
okay, I got it.
हाँ, so अभी क्या है कि it's like
if it ends, then you will be reposting one.
हाँ, I'll be sharing
or
another
I should follow
one.
the same link.
No, I'll be sharing another one. To give me your number, your phone number. I'll take it down and I'll share the link with you on WhatsApp.
Acha, you note it down. 98
Hanji
361 90
जी
337.
90337.
हाँ, 98361 90337.
Okay. Okay, I'll share another link with you, sir. Okay, क्योंकि ये 2
Sure, I will
मिनट
be
में
waiting.
हाँ.
Okay. Sure. Okay.
So, continuing with that part, believe me, when it comes to this publishing part that you have just mentioned, very personally, even I am clear that self-publishing is doing no good to the writing industry. It is doing no good. Until and unless,
Absolutely.
yeah, traditional publishing, they provide an editor. And
Right.
I believe until and unless there is a person who is right on your head, checking what you have written, going through what one has written, there is no good to what is being written.
Exactly.
है ना?
You publish anything for the sake of money.
What's for the sake of money? And जो सेल्फ पब्लिश कर रहे हैं, because people are more into becoming bestsellers these days. They actually they do not read what they write. They absolutely don't read what they have written. They just write it. There is no editing, there is no proofreading, and it is published. It is there in the market right away.
Right.
So
Exactly.
when you say this, you're absolutely, bang on, bold, and absolutely correct. And again, ये जो और एक और आपने बात बोली that पुराने टाइम वाली कि there used to be no competition there. कोई competition नहीं था. This is the absolute right. तो तभी पता है, तभी उन लोगों के poems हम आज अपने syllabus में पढ़ते हैं, अपने course में पढ़ते हैं. आज की poets की poem क्यों नहीं include हो पा रही है course में? The reason is self-publishing. The reason is that there is no proofreading. This is so true, so true. Yes. Publishing and self-publishing. Yeah. So, your take on this publishing part, it's amazing. I mean, raw and pure.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So, a little about your first book, Fateless 13.
Yeah. If you look at the title, it's Fateless 13, means when I approached Penguin publishing house, I had a lot of doubts, means whether this manuscript would work or not. And I had been a naive. So I really had the doubt, and the title happens to reflect my doubts that these 13 poems, they may not have the fate or the support of the fate.
Okay.
When I look at those 13 poems, I think that, some of them were really appeasing, though I don't think that there is anything called perfection, because it's more like referring to, again, Tennyson, where whether it is success or whether it is perfection, it's more like a horizon. The closer you try to go, the further it shifts away from you.
Shifts, yes.
So, exactly. So, though there is nothing called perfection, but I would still remember two of the poems. One I referred to, Caterpillar's Marriage, and the other is the Sayonara. Though there are plenty others, I think those poems had been, according to me, great, really great. And even I had been planning to, give this manuscript, I mean, the Caterpillar's Marriage, to some of the people whom I know who are working in the OTT industry to, convert poetry into a kind of short film. So I think Fateless 13 had been a great experience. It had groomed me, it had grooved me, and today if I'm excelling in this department, Fateless 13 surely has a role to play. It's some sort of a motivation.
You say it by yourself that what you have written, you say that they are wonderful poems. You say it by yourself. Again, it's a big thing in itself. Because as I said, people, they don't read what they write. And when you can say कि हाँ जो मैंने लिखा है that holds something, that means that's a statement.
Yeah, I had written plenty of poems, but some of them I don't want to read also. According to me, they are trash. Unless that flavor is there. I mean, you see, vocation and avocation, if you have to choose, I would choose avocation, the self-contentment. What matters to me is whether I am happy and contented to write what I have written. Whether that actually creates that kind of flavor. Whether that happens to appease myself, my mind. Unless that happens, I won't be publishing those stuffs. There are plenty of them. And I felt that at that point of time, I had been pretty amateurical. But anyway, you always start off with something and then it turns out to be beautiful with time.
It surely does. And when we are talking about, the books, let me praise the titles as well. I mean, Oracles, Fateless, मतलब अपने आप में
And then,
हाँ. And
see, the titles are important. 11 oracles. If you refer to it, means it has 11 predictions. Predictions, okay. And then the next volume, which I'm writing or composing, Herculean 12, means you have to put that Herculean effort into it to create those 12 Hercules, 12 Hercules who will be doing those 12 tough labors to prove their worth as human beings on this earth. So the titles even matter to me, and I love this number thing. You can call it numerology, though I don't believe in it.
नहीं, अभी मैं उसी पे बोलने वाली
I don't believe in it, but
मतलब not just the title itself, not just the word, but the number also. I mean, 11 oracles, Fateless 13. तो अभी जैसे Fateless भी है, आपने उसको नाम दिया है Fateless 13, and it's a number 13. That's we don't consider it a very good number.
That doesn't have exactly.
हाँ, तो वो मतलब बहुत अच्छा. It's a this is what exactly juice is called. जब हम बोलते हैं ना, there is rust, there is juice in the writing, in the words. This is what it is about. And I'm really glad talking to you. I mean, really, मुझे बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है. I am in that zone. कि हाँ, बिल्कुल वो poet वाला talk, and I can I am into my
actually there is a misconception also that we think that number 13 is some sort of a weird number. We can bring in bizarre results or consequences. But let me tell you that every number has two sides. So it depends on how you look at a thing. Means that old story where you have half a glass of water, some say it's half empty, some say it's half full. So how you look at it, how you happen to interpret it, that decides everything.
Everything, exactly. If you look at 13, we take it as not a good number. Now when you do 1 plus 3, 4 is a very good number. It's a what number it is for? I guess it's for prosperity and something. 4 is for prosperity and something. So वही है ना कि आप उसको जिस तरह भी देखो, हाँ, तब उसको जिस तरह भी देखो. Anyhow,
even in Bible, this number 13 refers to Judas. But if Judas hadn't betrayed Jesus Christ, I don't think Jesus Christ would have been one of the world's greatest prophet, and we had Christianity rather to be the biggest religion. So everyone has to contribute some way or the other, maybe in an odd way or in a simple way or maybe in some positive way. But contributions do matter.
They do. Okay. So, I had a question. जो कि था कि do you research on what you write? So ये आपने बहुत ही अच्छा आंसर कर ही दिया है already.
Definitely. Yes.
Without
research is very important. The content won't work. Writing, you broke my heart. Okay, I feel like a lonely soul sitting by the window, recalling those days. I think these are the things which I don't appreciate much. And these are random things what mostly people write. I told you that things which are cliche won't create history. You need to think a little in a very unconventional way.
Amazing. Next, again, my next question was, is there any advice?
Yeah.
So I was
when
about
it comes to advice.
Yeah, I was about to ask, is there any advice for the new authors?
That also, I think I have answered. I have told that people should not write in a random way. They should do some research. They should work on those topics. Try to not to refer to things which are cliche. Means if you're writing on rain, it's something cliche. There are thousands of poems written on this subject. If you have an unconventional bent, something unorthodox to add, you should not go for these kind of topics. I think you should look forward to some rare things. New writers should read. Reading is very important, I tell you. Reading is very important because reading can help you to develop plots, have ideas, and build up your kind of poetry or your kind of novel. So reading is important. I'm not talking about reading novel or reading poetry. I'm talking about random reading. Means it can be philosophy, it can be psychology, it can be geography, and most importantly, mythology and history. There are a lot to do, a lot to, contribute. So I think reading is important. It's very important. So new authors should try out these things.
Exactly, and और एक और ऐसी बात हो गई है आजकल कि people they start reading now कि उन्होंने 4-5 किताब पढ़ी and suddenly there's a writer brewing in them. वो मतलब उतना ना पढ़ के और शायद उतना ना समझ के, and this is so true. Without reading, you just cannot write.
Right, absolutely.
और क्योंकि see यहाँ पर भी ये बात हो ही गई, relate कितना होगा, because people actually they don't read, they write, and again what they write they don't read. So anything is coming up, and actually this can be a little harsh, but the quality of literature, it has degraded a lot in the past. I'd say past 10-15 years it has gone down like drastically.
Yeah, definitely, because we are not thinking. We need to think, and I think I would advise those who have sudden, passions to write. Please don't write, because unless you have it in your genes, unless you have developed it yourself, unless you have been fanciful from day one of your life, please don't come into this kind of an industry, or this kind of creativity. Industry would be a wrong word. Into this kind of creativity, because that's not going to do any good. That is going to mar, the quality of writing to a great extent.
Absolutely. Okay. So one last question. According to you, like controversies and publicity stunts, can they decide the fame of a writer?
Today's date, controversies are like hotcakes. You can create a buzz through the media. You have the PR, you have the publicity stunt. I think these things do work, but the success what you may achieve out of doing these things or creating a controversy is very transitory. Means it's not going to live forever. That success will also not live forever. It would etherize or it would vaporize, whatever. But if you are writing on a controversial issue, which as a writer, as a human being, you need to take on, it's a subject which is very elementary and it's a social issue, then one should go for it. But if you are going for earning fame to create a controversy, in order to earn fame, you are trying to create a controversy, that is ethically or morally wrong. As a writer, one should not do it. So it's like that. In fact, if you refer to Tagore is known for his poetry, his music. It's called the Vishwakobi, right? But even there is a controversy related to Tagore. I mean, when you refer to the national anthem, Jana Gana Mana, it is said that some people say that he wrote it to appease King George, his coronation. But Tagore later had explained and defined, through a letter written to some of his publisher friends and other people, that he had not done to glorify George. He had tried to glorify India as a country, as a nation. So see, Tagore's controversies are hardly known to people. Means this kind of controversies, what happened because of Tagore's work, are hardly known to people. But what people remember, what people still remember is what Tagore had written, right?
Yes.
Plenty of poetry, Golpo Gucho and all that stuff. So I don't think controversies may last forever unless the controversy really needs to be, discussed, that too in an ethical way. That is different, but creating a controversy or referring to a controversy for fame and publicity and to be the bestseller, I don't think this is absolutely immoral, rather.
The educator in you, it makes us explain the poet inside you really beautifully.
Thank you.
Gazillion praises to you, and it was really amazing conversing with you. You actually took to the time when I was there in my school reading the poems. It was beautiful.
Oh, that was a pleasure indeed on my part. But you see, if I am looking at the future, that too, suppose in my absence, because I am a mortal, like every mortal, I would one day have to say goodbye or adieu to this world. Then I would quote some of my lines only to complete.
Please.
Our past won't walk to our graves, but stay back like a milestone, once cherished, and the future will whisper, who had been here to break the silence? I think these lines explain or will explain my absence. My poetry would live, would survive. That is my only hope, prayer, and dream. And I pray to the gods that my poetry may survive after me. May they turn out to be immortal.
Already on the path.
Thank you.
It was really, really wonderful talking to you. And thank you very much for accepting the invite and being here, being in words with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ashita. Long way to go. This year, it started all well. And in the Kolkata Literary Carnival, even I was nominated to be the best poet of the year.
Wow.
And finally, I won the award. And there have been other successes almost coming like a flood and breaking the floodgates. So with you people being at my side and praying and wishing and having this kind of interaction, hope I would be able to reach the mass number of people, at least having the same sort of wavelength. It was really a pleasure coming to your show, and I just enjoyed every question you asked, every question you raised. I tried to justify those questions with my kind of answers and opinions. And if I had hurt anyone's sentiments, I would surely say that it was not intentional.
Oh, no, you don't just have to be sorry for any of that, because, it's all about perspective. Everyone, has their own.
Right.
Yes, so there's no being sorry in anything, and amazing. You were just amazing with every word, and surely you brought justice to every question.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.